I just wonder how things are going right now, because when you look around at the consumer, they're a little tapped, especially when you look at some of the things like furniture that they bought so much of during the pandemic. How are things holding up? What's the consumer look like to you?
You described it exactly right. It's been a very challenging year. People bought up through during COVID, and in our categories, it's been challenging. And you know, the industries that we face, flooring, furniture, appliance, electronics, they definitely have had their challenges, and you can read all the public reports. It's just good, the consumers having a challenge, inflation, housing's down, and so you know, we just have to figure out a way to grow and to figure out a way to take share.
Yeah, and I guess that's a big part of it too. With mortgage rates so high, people don't want to move out of their homes. They want to hold on to their 3% mortgage rate, and that means that people aren't moving, which would spur more buying too.
Exactly right. Exactly. There's a you know, just traffic in general is down, and you know, but there's always a silver lining like this weekend at Berkshire, because it gives us the opportunity to really do great things and give the customers great values. And you know, it's like Christmas time and Black Friday, so this is a great week for us.
What are the bright spots, just in terms of categories that customers might be more willing to buy right now, things they maybe aren't as tapped out on?
You know, appliances is doing fairly well, but again, it's driven by a replacement cycle now versus new construction. And there's certain furniture categories that are doing, mattresses are still doing very well, but I would say in general terms, there's not any of the industries that we're in that are positive as an industry.
Sure. I always think about Apple, because Warren talks pretty openly about how what he saw at Nebraska Furniture Mart, that strength of Apple products, that was part of the reason he bought into Apple shares. And I just wonder what you've seen with Apple, because AT&T and Verizon both recently, and AT&T in particular, singled out Apple and Samsung, saying that phone replacement cycle has gotten longer, that consumers are waiting a little longer to replace those phones.
And that's exactly what we're finding. Although, you know, it's such a great product and consumers love it so much, and you know, it's very sticky. Once you get it, you know, you're generally married to it, and still an unbelievably strong brand. And if anything is going to make it through these kinds of times, Apple will be the one.
In terms of inflation, it's been higher for longer. What do you see in terms of your costs that are coming in? How's inflation impact you guys? You
know, for the most part, our product pricing has come down. The freight rates have gone down dramatically. For the most part, manufacturers and vendors have got a little more aggressive because things are slow. And so we're not really seeing the inflation in our industry.
That's great.
But where we see it and hear a lot about it is in food and hospitality and many other categories. And you know, people get worried, and you know, with what's going on with the geopolitical world, there's a lot of challenges, and I think it puts in people's mind the not as confident as they typically are.
You know, Irv, you and I first met about 17 years ago, I think, when you were going on a sourcing trip to China, and I got to go along and talk to you guys at that time. How has sourcing changed post-COVID? How's the supply chain issues changed? Where do you get most of your furniture from, and what kind of trips are you taking for those sourcing?
Well, we get most of our product, I would say, today from Vietnam, Malaysia, some from Cambodia, less from China, although we still do get certain goods from China. And you know, overseas, they're very hungry right now. You know, business is just tough, and so you know, we have the opportunity to, especially after the shipping charges and changes and supply chain eased up. It's a lot more fluid today than it was, and so you know, we're just constantly shopping the market hard to make sure that we look for value for our customers, because that's what the customer's looking for today, is real value.
Rose Blumkin, Mrs. B, was your grandmother.
Right.
You now have a grandson who is working at Nebraska Furniture Mart. So that's 5 generations that have worked at this store, been part of this. What's that mean to you?
There's just nothing better having family in the business, and you know, they bring new ideas and new energy, and it's just great to see their perspectives on things, and having my grandson on the sales force selling. He's there today. He came back from California last night because he wanted to be here for Berkshire weekend. So it's a thrill. There's just nothing better than have a family that works together and gets along together, and it's just a pleasure.
You have no plans to stop, right? This is what you love doing.
I'm having too much fun. It's just, I get up every day, like Warren says, and tap dance to work, and as long as I'm still having fun and still trying to take care of the customers and serve the customers, I'll be here for a long time.
This is the first meeting since that we're having without Charlie being here, and it'll probably have a slightly different feel to things. What did you learn from Charlie over the years? What do you most associate with him?
You know, he taught us all so many great lessons. Living within your circle of competence, understanding your differentiation, surround yourself with people you admire and like. Just lesson that soldier on as your interview. You know, you got to get through the tough times and get through it. And those are just a few off the top of my head, but what a mentor, a hero to us, and you know, we're going to miss him a lot.